So I vowed to destroy the woke mind virus after that.
I mean, you have talked about this woke mind virus.
Yes.
In really apocalyptic terms.
How is it that Elon Musk has gone from a lifelong Democrat to being one of the most vocal advocates for the anti-woke crusade? Well, for him, it's personal. In a recent sit-down interview with fellow free speech advocate Jordan Peterson, we're finally getting some context as to why Elon Musk is the way he is. What is it about this progressive ideology, the woke mind virus, as he puts it, that is so near and dear to his heart? Welcome to The Strange Times. I'm Matt Brevner. Today we're going to sit down and we're going to unpack this recent interview between Dr. Jordan Peterson and Elon Musk. Musk goes into why he's moving his businesses out of California as an answer to woke policies, why he's supporting Donald Trump, and why fighting the woke mind virus, as he puts it, is just so important to him. If you appreciate content like this, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you can help this baby channel grow. All right, let's get into the interview.
Can I ask you a little bit about one of the things that you've been relatively vocal about, and I understand that there's a personal connection to this as well. So I am, for what it's worth, I'm particularly unhappy with what my colleagues in the psychological field have done with regards to gender-affirming care.
Right.
I think they are a pack of contemptible cowards.
Yes.
And I think that everyone who's been involved in this in relationship to minors should go to prison.
I agree.
Okay. Why do you agree? What's your oar in the water in this particular? This is the worst medical and psychological malpractice I've ever seen anywhere, including what I've done, what I've studied in reference to historical atrocity, eugenics, what do you call those, prefrontal lobotomy, even the sorts of things that were going on in Nazi Germany. At least the bloody Nazis knew it was wrong and tried to hide it.
Yes.
So, okay, so what's your, why are you engaged in this particular battle? I mean, you said you're going to move a couple of your company headquarters out of California because of the last legislative move that Gavin Newsom pulled with regards to the trans issue. So
yes, I mean, to be clear, there were many things leading up to that point.
Yes.
I was clear, like, look, it's not that it's the one straw; it's just the final straw.
I'm sure Texas not having a corporate state tax compared to California's almost 9% tax has a little something to do with it. Let's be honest. The main impetus for Elon wanting to remove the remainder of his companies out of California is in fact these social issues and parental rights specifically. It says a lot.
Yeah, okay. So it's a cumulative issue. Fair enough.
It's a cumulative issue.
Right. So it's not dramatic grandstanding. It's...
No, and moreover, I have had conversations with Gavin Newsom before where I said, if you pass legislation like this, if you sign legislation like this, that, in my view, puts children in danger, I will move my companies out of California. And he knew that ahead of time.
Okay, you've talked to him directly about this. What the hell is he doing? I cannot understand. I really cannot understand. I mean, the Democrats...
He's pandering to the far left.
Why did the Democrat moderates constantly pander to the far left? I worked with the Democrats in California for 5 years trying to get them to separate themselves from the far left. They wouldn't admit that they existed even, and they certainly would never separate them. They wouldn't admit, for example, that Antifa even existed.
Sure.
You know, and
well,
so
they're burning down buildings.
There's this unbelievable blind spot with regards to the far left radicals, and the moderate Democrats I think they're useful idiots fundamentally.
Well, I think that's an interesting observation, right? Is it really a blind spot when the most radical of ideologies in the Democratic sphere are mostly held by their young voters? So does this represent the fringe of democratic and progressive ideology, or is this the future of democratic and progressive ideology? And with that being said, the politicians that are emboldening the next generation, do they actually disagree with any of this? When BLM is firebombing buildings and causing millions of dollars in property damage, and our politicians are bending the knee, literally, claiming that the protests are mostly peaceful, it's worth asking.
So
yeah, well, I mean, going back to the so-called gender-affirming care, which is a terrible euphemism.
That's for sure.
It's really a child sterilization, is what it should be.
No, there's mutilation too.
Mutilation.
Right. Yeah, well, we want to make sure that amalgam is...
Sure, fair enough.
Yeah.
It's child mutilation and sterilization.
Yeah. Under the guise of gender-affirming care and compassion.
Right.
I
It's evil.
Literally can't imagine anything worse than that.
Yes, it's evil. I mean, you're taking kids who are obviously often far below the age of consent.
Yep. Confused, miserable.
Yes. The reality is that almost every child goes through some kind of identity crisis.
It's part of puberty.
Exactly. It's just part of growing up. So it's very possible for adults to manipulate children who are having a natural identity crisis into believing that they are the wrong gender.
Yep.
Absolutely. And that they need to be the other gender, or they need to be a boy, or a boy needs to be a girl, and that
will solve all their problems.
See, that's the thing. The medical system in the United States is for profit. So that means explicitly that you have a system where the doctors and the psychologists and psychiatrists are financially motivated to prescribe Lupron or testosterone or estrogen or double mastectomy surgeries or castration or phallic implants or whatever. Isn't it fair to ask at least if this creates a conflict of interest? Especially when we're seeing more and more now that post-op, trans kids are actually more prone to suicidality than they were before. Many countries in Europe are already banning this sort of surgery and hormone replacement therapy, full stop. But it seems like the United States and Canada are late to the party.
And that will solve their problems. And then they give them sterilizing drugs, which are called also a misnomer, puberty blocker. These are sterilization drugs, so they can never have children again.
Yeah.
They can have double mastectomies, the mutilation.
They have their forearms stripped to build non-functioning penises.
Yeah, it's macabre. I mean, we have an age of consent for a reason. That the reason you can't get, say, tattoos below age 18, or drink or drive. There are ages at which you can do things, because if we allow children to take permanent actions when they're 10, 12, 14 years old, they will do things that they subsequently greatly regret.
Yes, I've interviewed a couple of people who've done exactly that, and it's pretty damn painful.
Dr. Peterson here is referring to his interview with Chloe Cole, who's a very brave young woman who's been speaking out about her detransition and how she feels that she was manipulated and was a victim of this for-profit medical system.
It wasn't explained to me that puberty blockers are actually just sterilization drugs. Anyway, and so I lost my son, essentially. They call it dead naming for a reason.
Yeah,
all right. So the reason it's called dead naming is because your son is dead. So my son Xavier is dead, killed by the woke mind virus.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what that would be like.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and there's lots of people in that situation now.
Right.
It's not pretty, and lots of demolished kids.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's a good reason to be the final straw. All right, so let's.
So I vowed to destroy the woke mind virus after that, and we're making some progress.
Join the club.
Yeah.
This is something that we hear far too often in these stories, right? Parents are told by doctors that they trust that unless their child goes through this life-altering surgery, they're going to kill themselves. I couldn't imagine being a parent in that position, what that must feel like. Obviously, you're going to want to do whatever you can to save your child's life, right? There are few things more powerful in this world than the vengeance of a grieving parent. And it's obvious now, seeing the certain courses of action that Elon has taken throughout the last few years are all rooted in this, like a severe pain, grieving the loss of a child. And guys, if you follow me on social media, you know I've talked about this before. I even talked about this in the previous video about why you likely will never afford a house in Canada. And basically I go into it in periphery about on the macro progressive ideologies leading to declining birth rates. And, you know, it's one thing when you're looking at statistics, but it's another thing altogether when you're looking at a person, a man who lost his child to an ideology that has robbed him of a future, robbed him of the ability to ever have children of his own, an ending of the bloodline. It's a dark time for journalism right now. Narratives that shape public opinion often just reinforce media or corporate and government-backed vested interests. It's really hard to know what information you can trust. That's why I've been using Ground News. Ground News is an app and a website that combines stories from around the world into one place, so you can compare coverage. For every news source, you can see what their political bias is, how reliable their reporting is, and who owns them. They even have a blind spot feed that highlights news that is being disproportionately covered by one side of the political spectrum. This allows you to truly see what corporate media is sensationalizing or exaggerating or even underreporting. You get thousands of news sources worldwide in one place, and you get to see who's funding each publication, compare coverage, and think critically about the information you're consuming. In fact, I've been using Ground News as research for this very channel, and it's been extremely helpful to weed through the biases, especially in this highly censorious environment in Canada that we're living in. If you go to check.ground.news/thestrange-times, you'll get 15% off of any subscription you want. I personally use the Vantage plan because it gives me unlimited access to every feature. But the premium and even the pro subscriptions are truly excellent value for what you get, in less than a cup of coffee a month. If you appreciate content like this, please like, subscribe, and follow. I drop content every week. And my channel is microscopic at this point, but I really do appreciate the support and the kind messages that I've been getting as of late. And I'm really excited to be on this adventure with you guys. So thanks for joining me today. And don't forget, the truth will set you free during these strange times. Peace.